To react, as well as Jonathan Gilliam. He's a former FBI agent, former Navy SEAL, and author of Sheep Know More. Jonathan, your thoughts on how these extractions are taking place now since the military withdrawal, leaving Americans behind and SIV applicants as well?
Well, they're going as good as could be expected, right? I mean, all of this is predictable. We know that the DOD and the United States government pretty much pulled completely out. Even our embassy has been taken over there, and now it's just been left up to private citizens. And I know we're using these terms about former special forces and retired warriors coming in there, but you know, the majority of this stuff is utilizing people that already that are Afghan nationals to get these citizens and these individuals who are under threat because they worked with the United States to the airport, and they have no help. That's the thing. There's no help from the government. Blinken himself said that they were going to turn this or they took everybody out, and now they're going to concentrate on dialogue with the Taliban and diplomacy. I mean, we can see right now that diplomacy doesn't work. Anybody that knows anything would have told you it wasn't going to work. And my hope is that these people get out. But there's going to be thousands and thousands of people that should have been taken out under a plan with the United States military, with the United States government, in a show of force to push back and then get our people out and then leave. And what you're looking at is the results of 100% incompetence, and now Americans and their allies are in harm's way.
So, Jonathan, what would you do? Given the situation we have right now and what you know, what would you do differently, or what would you do in addition to what's going on?
Well, you know, knowing what our capabilities are now, and it's sad that it's gotten to this point, but we have, you know, lots of different military contract groups that can actually go and get people and work their sources. We could do this, continue to do this slowly and pull people out one by one, or as the congressman was just saying, 4 by 4. But we also have the ability in this government to do covert ops, where we go in and we pull people out, not necessarily from Kabul airport, where we're having them go to other locations. The fact is, it's a sad state of affairs that we're in this position now. So anything that has to be done is going to have to be done very slowly, at the risk of life, or covertly, where we're trying to get people away from the airport to rescue them. And in either case, this is tremendously more difficult and dangerous than it would have been if we just used our military to get them.
Yeah, it's an incredibly dangerous situation. I've been trying to coordinate with several of those different groups on the ground and from here who are trying to get some of these people out. And it just makes me very angry when I hear them say that there aren't Americans there who wanted to get out, because there are, and these SIV applicants and their families as well. You know, amid all of this, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and we can show this, he arrived in Doha to thank officials there for all of their help. And you were talking about, you know, not being able to use diplomacy when it comes to dealing with the Taliban. What about this type of diplomacy that still continues?
Well, Blinken is a power-hungry fool, and he thinks that that these murderous people that have lived in this area for thousands of years are going to listen to diplomacy. The only way that any of this will work on a diplomacy level is if he gets China involved. Big surprise. Is if he has enough people in the surrounding areas to put pressure on the Taliban and people who are giving Taliban things and resources so that the Taliban will, you know, work and function to pull these people out. But even then, there's people within the Taliban that one day will put on whatever thing it is they show that they're Taliban, and the next day they're ISIS-K, because they're all the same. And the resurgence of Al-Qaeda, it's going to come from the same people. So whereas, you know, you could put sanctions on North Korea or an actual nation state to get them to do things, I mean, you're dealing with a group of people here who know how long they have to wait before the United States government folds. They know that because they've seen it, and now here we are. So I don't think diplomacy is going to do a bit of good. And let me tell you, if China gets on board with Blinken, it is nothing but 100% confirmation of what everybody's thought about Joe Biden and his relationship with China.
Switch gears just a little bit, or switch focus. 9/11 coming up this Saturday. all this stuff going on in Afghanistan. I wanted to get your thoughts. You can either connect them or just tell me what you think about when you think about 9/11.
Well, I'll tell you something. I was still in the Navy when I got out, or when 9/11 happened, and I got out shortly thereafter and started flying undercover on airplanes for the Federal Air Marshal Service. 2002 on 9/11, I was on a plane that was actually targeted by these same people. So what has occurred in this nation 20 years ago and where we came and how quickly this was just dropped is an insult and a slap in the face to every person who died on that day. It's an insult and a slap in the face to everyone who died overseas against this group. And I think what we're looking at now is potential uptick in terrorist activity and more death 20 years later as a result of these decisions. Instead of a safer nation, we've gone the opposite direction. And I think, to be honest with you, 9/11 was a tragic, tragic day. But I think where we're at now is, in a lot of ways, more tragic, because there's nothing that hurts people worse than when they know their family members died in vain. And that's what I see here.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jonathan, I don't feel like the people that have given their lives in service died in vain. I understand your point, but they've kept us safe for 20 years. And God bless them for that effort. I'm sure you'd agree with that. But I think a lot of people agree with your further point, and that is right now we're in more danger than we were certainly 2 months ago.
You know, here's how we'll know how much in vain we are, is if there's another attack and 5, 20, or 1,000 people are killed again because of this mistake, then we will realize the ramifications of this, because already just the overall mental effect of giving a country, a nation, back to the people who tried to destroy us.
Yeah.
In the 40s, this would have never happened. We would have eliminated our enemy.
Yeah.
Instead, we emboldened them.
All right. Jonathan Gilliam, thank you so much.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.